Today we are going to be talking about the Clover Club cocktail. I thought it would be kind of fun to go through this cocktail 3 different ways. The Clover Club is a classic drink which got incredibly popular during the cocktail renaissance, I guess for lack of a better term. Or like whenever cocktails got popular again, the Clover Club became one of those very popular drinks, which is actually saying something because it's an egg white drink, and given how many people are really suspicious of egg whites in drinks, this is saying a lot. That being said, the recipe has changed quite a bit over time, and this is really sensible. I mean, what happens to many classic cocktails is that the recipes are up for interpretation, and bars will make them with the resources that they're given. So many cocktails change a lot. Sometimes they change for the better, sometimes they change for the worse. There are 3 recipes that you see quite often. The last one, which is my favorite, you see a little bit less, and then the first 2 are the ones that you see most commonly. Today's episode is sponsored by ourselves. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. One of the most important things about cocktails is their presentation. And your garnish game can really make or break that presentation. So Marius and I decided that we wanted to start making some dehydrated fruit to garnish cocktails. Not only are they beautiful to look at, they're pretty long lasting, and they're functional garnishes in that they have aroma that you can add to your cocktail without unbalancing the cocktail, but just adding a little je ne sais quoi to it. So obviously we're doing limes, we're doing lemons, we're doing oranges, we're doing blood oranges, and we're doing dragon fruit. All of our citrus are organic, they're sourced locally, and this is a really good way to help the channel. The garnishes are made in small batches, they're essentially made to order, and although we're starting with, the usual suspects, the really simple lemon, lime, orange, blood orange, we hope to expand into some less common, harder to get fruits, and then on top of that, we'll have some seasonal offerings for you guys. So if you guys have any suggestions for things you'd like to see, definitely let us know. So head to the shop, and no coupon code needed because they're amazingly priced and it helps the channel. So the Clover Club is a cocktail from the 1880s that was created to commemorate a gentleman's club of the same name that used to meet at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel in Philadelphia from 1880 to about 1920. What I thought was very interesting historical tidbit about it is that apparently it was created to exemplify the power color at the time. The power tie is mainly considered red, but back in the 1880s, the power color was actually pink. And so this cocktail was created in part to exemplify that power color for all the businessmen, because really it was a gentleman's club, and who was part of the gentleman's club? It was, very famous bankers, powerful businessmen, judges, that type of person. So the Clover Club is the power cocktail, I guess. Before we get into actually making the cocktails, let's have a little aside about eggs and egg whites and cocktails, because I see a lot of stuff being said on the internet about it. Some of it is true, some of it is false. So today, let's clear the air, let's talk about egg whites. The idea that alcohol kills the bacteria in eggs is true and sort of false. The truth is that the bacteria in eggs is not killed by alcohol on contact. The alcohol would actually have to sit with the egg for a while to begin to kill the bacteria. And so there is a very small risk of getting a foodborne illness when having anything with raw egg in it. That said, I've been making raw egg drinks for many years. I've never seen anyone get sick. And, depending on what country you're in, eggs are pretty sterilized these days. And so it's very rare to get something like salmonella poisoning from it, but there is a small risk of it. I also see a lot of comments on the internet about how egg whites smell like wet dog and how it gives a weird smell to the cocktails. When you are using an egg in a cocktail, you should make sure that you have the freshest egg possible, and you will not have any wet dog smell. Your egg whites should never have a wet dog smell. Sometimes with less fresh egg whites, you can get that smell if a bar is using egg whites in a squeeze bottle, or sometimes they're using egg whites that have come out of a carton and not an actual egg, but you should never detect that smell in your egg whites, and if so, you shouldn't use that egg white at all. If you are vegan, there are a lot of options for you to create the same type of egg white foam without using eggs at all. We did an entire video about it. So just click the link above and you'll be taken to our video. I think it's called Look Ma, No Eggs. And we feature 3 different ways to get the same result with no egg whites. All right, let's get into making the cocktail. The very first Clover Club that we're gonna be making is called Clover Club number 1. And this is the most common way I see the drink made. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a tin here and we're gonna put, 4 or 5 raspberries into the tin, or maybe 6, or maybe just like what's left in here. So 6 raspberries. And we're gonna add 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of gin. I'm gonna give this a muddle. And then add in our egg white. So crack it on a flat surface. Make sure you get a nice clean break. Now we're gonna give this a dry shake for about 30 seconds to emulsify the egg. For all egg white cocktails, I like to use one big cube, which gives you less dilution, but like superior texture. And then I like to put a cheater cube in there to make sure you get the right amount of dilution. You're gonna want a larger capacity glass. And then of course we are gonna have to fine strain this. So we're gonna have to double strain this because we have all sorts of stuff inside the cocktail and you don't want that in your actual drink. For my Clover Clubs, I like to get a little lemon twist on top. This is gonna be like lemon twist and discard. And we're gonna grab a nice pick. Now, this one's really nice. Little shell. You can pick these up in our store. We partnered up with Dizzy Diva to sell some of her picks on her store, and they are brilliant. And we are just gonna put our garnish situated like so. There it is. The Clover Club version 1, let's give it a taste. Nice and balanced, incredibly raspberry forward. As you can see, the raspberries infuse into the drink really well, and it has a nice light brightness. This is a very good drink. Not super complex, although you do get the botanicals from the gin, pairing up with the lemon. Really nicely done. So the next version of the Clover Club, we're just gonna be calling Clover Club number 2. Nowadays, probably the most common way that Clover Clubs are made. So again, in a tin, we are going to add 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of raspberry syrup, 2 ounces of gin. Separate our egg white into the big tin. And again, you guys know the deal. So dry shake, and big rock shake. Again, we're adding that big rock of ice. Find small cheater cubes. And strain. As you guys can see, it's much more delicately pink in color. So this one, the lemon is super prominent. You get the raspberry right on the finish, and then you get a little bit more of the gin and botanicals. It's a lot less intensely raspberry, and the raspberry is a more delicate flavor, and it also has a more delicate color. And there you are, your Clover Club number 2. So the last Clover Club we're doing, I like to call the original Clover Club. And I was introduced to this recipe from a Los Angeles bartender named Kenny Arbuckle. We were doing a cocktail competition together at the Varnish in downtown LA. In the very last stage of the competition, we were all tasked to make a Clover Club with the best recipe possible. I made the Clover Club the way that we made the Clover Club number 2. And Kenny brought out a secret weapon and took the contest home, winning first place. When I tried his cocktail, it blew my frickin' mind, and I had to do a deep dive on this cocktail and figure out what he did. Was there a precedent for it? Did he create this technique? And what I found out was this is the original way the cocktail was made. And I cannot believe that more people don't do it to this day. Okay, so in our tin, 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 ounce of raspberry syrup, 1.5 ounces of gin, 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth. Now, Marius begged me to show you the reverse dry shake technique, so I guess we're gonna do that. I just wanna say for the record, I'm not really a huge fan of this technique. I think it adds a step. I don't think that you get superior foam, and I think that the reason why people think you get superior foam is because they add in a bunch of regular ice and not the big rock technique, and so they add in a whole bunch of dilution into this cocktail and it ruins their foam. And so then they did this technique, and because they shake the egg white second, they think they get a better result. So what you're gonna need is an extra little tin here, and we're going to first shake our cocktail with ice, and we're gonna shake it with regular ice. And we're gonna shake it 8 to 10 seconds, just like a regular cocktail. You're going to need to double strain this to not get those little shards of ice. If you get little shards of ice, it's going to be a bit of a disaster because you're going to add more dilution to your cocktail and you're gonna kill your foam. Okay, now we're gonna add our egg white. And I just broke this like totally horribly. And now emulsify it. No need to double strain because there's no ice in here. And I think we're gonna garnish with 2 raspberries because this is a smaller drinking area. I'm gonna take a smaller pick here And the addition of the vermouth is everything. It gives you added botanicals that you're pairing with the gin. Then you get the lemon, and then you get the raspberry right on the back of your palate. The raspberry, again, is gonna be a lighter flavor. You get that nice, big lemon. I forgot to put a twist on here, but I really do like to do that. And then you get all of the botanicals of the gin, and you get a little bit more acidity. It's just a subtle acidity from the dry vermouth, and then the botanicals. It just brings a little bit more complexity to a cocktail that can be one note. And while gin selection is very important in this cocktail, this is just another way to bring in more flavors and amplify the herbal character of the drink. So there it is, the original Clover Club. All right, guys, 3 different Clover Clubs. I think all 3 of these cocktails hit very different notes, and there's something for everyone. If you want a little bit more raspberry flavor, you can have that. If you want something that's more complex, you can have that. Or if you want something that's got some complexity, but not a ton, you can also have that. And this is going to bring me to another rant, I guess, about traditionalism in cocktails. There is this idea out there. People approach cocktails in a very similar way to approaching politics and religion, in that whatever way it is that they think the original cocktail was done is sort of canon and cannot be changed. And I think that's just a terrible way to approach cocktails. That idea, that thought, that way of approaching things is really the death of progress. There are a lot of different ways to do things, and one isn't necessarily better than the other. They are just different. So go out, make 3 different Clover Clubs, try them all. They are all very different drinks. Find what works for you and do that. And I will see you on another time. But before I see you on another time, check out theeducatedbarfly.com. Marius and I have been working really hard on our website. We've partnered up with a really talented writer named Dylan Ettinger, who's also been writing some fantastic reviews and articles for our website as well. We have a brand new store. It has all sorts of things like cocktail picks, Mai Tai glasses, dehydrated citrus, and we also have a spirits store that is, if it's not live now, it will be when this video gets posted. So you can pick up some of the spirits that you see on our channel. This is a great way to help the channel out and then also get something in return as opposed to some type of membership. And then, yeah, now I'll see you guys on another time.